I cannot believe that Mario & Luigi Brothership is literally out this Thursday. In just a couple of days, we can get our hands on the next installment of Mario & Luigi finally coming to home console and not being dead since Alpha Dream's bankruptcy. But even with that said, we have reviews to go over because once again, they seem to be kind of mixed. As a lot of reviews are positive, there's a couple that are a little too negative to just completely ignore. So today, if you guys don't know what this is, we pretty much just dive into all the reviews and put them into one giant ball of reviews so I can let you guys know the positives, the negatives, everything about the game before it actually releases without you having to watch every single review out there. So hopefully this video gives you a better and clear understanding as to what to expect from this game before it releases, from the battling, from the overworld exploration, to the collectibles, and even its runtime. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe, and let's dive into the reviews for Mario & Luigi Brothership. Now the review videos that you're seeing on screen today comes from IGN, Nintendo Life, and Eurogamer on YouTube, so feel free to check them out and watch the whole reviews in full if you want to learn a little bit more about the gameplay and just see every bit of new gameplay shown off, because I won't be showing everything here. I do just want to start real quick by saying this game is currently sitting at an 80 on Metacritic, which is the second lowest in the entire series, where the lowest is Mario & Luigi Paper Gem at a 76, and the one just above it is Mario & Luigi Dream Team at an 81, where the rest are high 80s, low 90s. I'm not going to bore you with all the boring information about how this is the first home console Mario & Luigi. I'm just going to dive into the stuff that I've been hearing about. So let's start off about the length of the game. The game is very long, and I'm hearing extremely long. Nintendo Life claimed that they put in over 40 hours of gameplay into this game, and some even saying upwards to 50 or even 60 hours of gameplay with their playthroughs. So this is definitely not a short game. This is going to be a game that actually you can dive in and sink your teeth in, which I have no problems with, because a lot of the time, Mario games are extremely short. I mean, you could bust through Odyssey in just a handful of hours, and that's normally how Mario games operate. And even Mario and Luigi titles, they seem to last around 20 to 30 hours at most, so this one being the longest in the franchise is definitely something that I love. I want to be able to enjoy this game for a long time, and I think spending money on a video game should warrant lots of fun gameplay. But at the same time, IGN claims that this length is a little too long. This was also backed up by Paulygon that claimed it was very talky, and Eurogamer said the exact same thing, saying that there was so much dialogue in this game. This seems to be the one thing that everyone agrees on, is that it's just so wordy. Yes, every second you'll stop to hear some dialogue or see a scene of something or panning around the world before you explore it, and it feels a lot like Dream Team apparently, because if you guys remember Dream Team, it took a very long time for it to get started. I've even seen some comments from people online that's played the game early, whether it's be legally or illegally, claim that the game takes a long time to get started. I've seen some people say even 10 to 15 hours until you start getting into the meat of the game, which is just kind of absurd if this is true. But apparently it's very hand-holdy and feels just like Dream Team in the sense of taking forever to get started, and also maybe even catered to a younger audience or someone's first experience with the Mario & Luigi franchise, which is something that I just don't like, because this series has been around for a long time now and has 5 unique games in it. It doesn't need a handhold, and there should be options in order to turn this off, or at least prove that you're a veteran of the series. It does seem like it's going to be a very slow, grueling start to your journey before you actually get started, which to me is kind of a negative. IGN and Paulygon go even further and state that it has some very lengthy and non-engaging side quests, just feeling like busy work. Apparently the 3/4 section of the game, towards the end, there's a whole area or section of busy work, it seems like, where you're going back to past areas and just collecting things and fighting the same enemies, which is definitely a problem that has plagued Mario & Luigi of some sort. You know, in my eyes, Paper Jam was a big problem with this, where they just kept going back to the past areas, you would fight the same enemies over and over again, and it just felt like busy work with the Toad missions and just going around and doing things that just didn't advance the plot enough. Speaking of the plot, most people seem to say that the story is actually one of the more engaging ones in the entire series, and I've even heard some people say it had the best story in the entire series. But there's others, like once again IGN, being very negative with this game with this review, claiming that the story was a bunch of nothing and it wasn't that exciting. Paulygon would also back this up by stating that you're just chasing the villains around the worlds, each and every single island, and they're the main cause to everything that's happening, which is the extension core and the evil Zocket. So unless they're just keeping it spoiler free, it doesn't look like we'll be expecting any type of crazy twist for the end of the game like we had with Partners in Time, revealing that there was a whole separate entity princess that was causing havoc in the beginning as well. Apparently there are lots of islands, and each of the islands are very unique and special, and they feel very fun to explore and go around in. Nintendo Life really loved the theming of the worlds and the enemies and creatures from each area, and there was fun to be had in each island. But once again, if you ask IGN, they claim this is the complete opposite, that the worlds were boring to explore and there wasn't much to do. And based off of what I've seen so far, I'm kind of inclined to believe, because there didn't seem to be any bean sprouts on the ground to collect. There didn't seem to be any type of extra hidden collectibles or things to go around and find a part of these islands besides question blocks. So unless there's something else that I haven't seen so far, it does look like the worlds are pretty empty outside of battling. The puzzles are said to be simple, but a lot of fun, thanks to the new Luigi's logic, where he pretty much does whatever he wants at times, where he acts like a separate NPC character that a lot of the time you're not even in control of. I've seen a lot of people enjoy this, making it easier for platforming when you're focusing on just Mario, but it also makes me question certain things. For instance, why couldn't this been a co-op adventure? This really blows my mind that a second player can't play as Luigi, considering the fact that Luigi moves independently of Mario, and sometimes even interferes with Mario's progression, sometimes hitting switches when he's not supposed to yet, and making you have to rush and do things before your own partner Luigi does them. So based on the reviewer, I heard some people said that this was completely fine, and some people were a little upset that you can't control Mario and Luigi the way you could in every single other game. It's mostly you controlling Mario with Luigi following along. Luigi logic situations is just simply Luigi finding, ways to progress, by doing something quirky or weird, and a lot of the times you're just kind of watching what he's doing, but it makes for some funny and unique moments. I heard it's used the best when it comes to battling, which I've heard pretty much all around that battling is really, really great in this game. There has not really been a review that said battling was boring or just not good. It's extremely well done here. Nintendo Life, IGN, and Eurogamer all praise the battling system here, claiming that it's done really, really well with fun, unique moves, fun, unique creatures and enemies, and it's also pretty challenging, believe it or not. There was a couple bosses that a lot of these reviewers had mentioned had made them fail multiple times before they could figure out how to defeat them and learn the enemy patterns. But that's the thing about Mario and Luigi games, is eventually you can learn the enemy patterns and realize how you'll have to dodge their attacks, which is something that I love about Mario and Luigi games, trying to figure out how in the world I'm going to dodge these attacks the next time you go into battle and trying to learn from your mistakes. New plug abilities also seem to be really great additions to the game and offering tons of unique gameplay options, and also the boss battles seem to be a really big highlight as well, with Luigi's logic being the biggest highlight of them all, allowing Luigi to do specific things for every single boss battle that actually enhances the gameplay a lot more and adds a new unique spin to the boss battles. None of the reviewers seemed to mention music though, which was pretty interesting, and I actually had to look up a couple of individual reviews from people who simply just played the game on their own, whether they got a copy early legitimately or by pirating the game. But I've seen a lot of individual comments online claim that the music is nothing special, which actually was like a gut punch to me ultimately, and the fact that not a single reviewer even brought up music in the first place makes me think that it might have been an afterthought this time around. We know there's a new studio working on this game entirely with Acquire, which is a Tokyo-based company, and also the fact that it had a new composer as well might be the problem here, because the music apparently didn't hit with a lot of people, or at least some of the tunes that they've heard. I never read or seen anything that said the music was awful or even bad, but just said it was okay, alright at best, which is just still a gut punch for a series that, in my opinion, has some of the best music in Mario history. There seems to be two boss themes, for instance. One is a mini boss, one is a main boss, and from what I could hear, the main boss theme isn't anything spectacular and really doesn't sound like it does in the past Mario and Luigi games, really amping you up for battle. Personally, I still prefer Dream Team's battle and boss themes compared to any other Mario and Luigi game, and that includes Brothership. Leveling up seems to be handled very well in this game, and it's completely balanced as long as you're fighting enemies along your way, and doesn't seem to be grindy, meaning you're not going to have to sit in one area and fight every single creature you see, as long as you fight creatures that are in your path or in your way, you know, making your way to the end of each area. But oddly enough, I still haven't heard enough to make me wonder what else this game has to offer. Like, from what I've heard, I don't understand how in the world this game runs for 40 plus hours. I mean, unless it's seriously all dialogue and side quests that they just, you know, already talked about, I don't really see where else this game is getting most of its time from, because most of the islands we've seen seems to be most of the islands in the game, probably hiding a couple that they didn't talk about, but I'm very curious to see where all this runtime actually comes from, and if it really is just all dialogue. But Eurogamer, the company that's been down on lots of recent releases for Nintendo like Echoes of Wisdom and Mario Party Jamboree, actually was very satisfied with this game and gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. Nintendo Life claims that it's the best Mario RPG to date, which is very bold, at a 9 out of 10, and IGN, with the lowest review so far at a staggering 5 out of 10, claims that it suffers from various problems, including one that I saved for the very end here, which is the performance. From all reviewers, I've heard that the performance is iffy in certain areas, but IGN specifically states that it is terrible, like abysmally bad performance, that so many situations, whether you're in battle or in the overworld, you're gonna get stutters and pauses and skips, which is just unexcusable, man. It was so bad for IGN, they literally urged players to not play on the television. Like, literally don't play in docked because it lags more that way. And I know I'm beating a dead horse with this, but goodness gracious, Nintendo has to reveal this next console. I know they want the Switch to continue to sell and they want to continue pumping games out to this console, but when they keep announcing more games coming to this same console like they just did with Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition, you're gonna keep seeing these same problems. The Switch is an 8-year-old console. It is outdated. It is time to move on. And it sucks that even games with this more cartoonish, less graphically demanding art style is still suffering from the same frame rate issues and performance problems. Like, it is almost 2025 and there is no reason in the world we should be having these issues. And I think it's going to also be a major problem for other developers where they're trying to put their games on Switch and it's just not a good idea right now. I mean, they're just not going to run well, especially when even Nintendo's first party games aren't running well. That's not a good look. So yes, this actually really frustrates me that Mario and Luigi are finally back and on a home console and people are urging you to not play it as a home console game. You know what I mean? Play it portable. And it's just like Nintendo has to start gearing up for this next console and stop releasing so many games for this current console. It's time to move on, Nintendo. I will say, as a huge Mario and Luigi fan, I'm still very excited for this game, but I'm also a little worried because I am going to be completely honest when I play the game and give it a completely honest review, and I really hope that this game does very well. Like I said, some people absolutely love the game, claiming it to be one of the best Mario RPGs or the best Mario RPG ever, and some people claiming that it's very lackluster. So only time will tell when we actually get our own individual hands on this game, but let me know what you think of these reviews. Do you agree with IGN so far from what you've seen? Do you disagree? Are you excited for the game still, or are you a little less excited? Let me know in the comments down below, and make sure you leave a like and subscribe before you head out, and like always, I'll see you all on the next one. See ya, guys.